The global demand for mobility in urban areas has risen massively in the past. Experts estimate that the demand will triple by 2050. In this video, we examine how urban mobility evolved over time, what challenges we face, how we move around cities today, and how urban mobility will further develop in the next years. Urban mobility as we know it today is the result of a protracted evolutionary process. In the past, the development of mobility was always dependent on industrial development and the associated technological innovations. In order to give you a brief insight into the stages of mobility development, we orient ourselves in the following to the industrial revolutions. In the pre-industrial period up to the 18th century, the possibilities of travel were severely limited due to a lack of infrastructure and low technological development. The agricultural sector was by far the largest economic sector, in which technological innovations took mainly place. Travel was only possible by ships on waterways and by horse or carriages on the large trade routes. It was only with the first industrial revolution in the 19th century and the new technological achievements that the type of transport and thereby the demand for mobility changed. Industrialization and, in particular, steam-based technologies led to an expansion of the rail network and of public transport. Horses were replaced by bicycles over short distances, and sailing ships by steam-powered ships. However, the greatest innovation was undoubtedly the steam-powered railway for mobility. Compared to the pre-industrial era, mobility has increased enormously and can still be classified as low to moderate compared to today. With the technological progress in the second and third industrial revolution, the possibilities in transport also multiplied. In particular, technologies in the fields of automation and electrification supported mobility-related services. In addition to travel by train, flexibility in transport was increased by improved flight infrastructures and the individual use of cars. The innovative power of mobility was further enhanced by the fact that the demand for higher mobility grew ever stronger. With the fourth industrial revolution in the 21st century, new business models and services in the mobility sector emerged. The starting point for this development was the convergence of industries and technology, increasing degrees of digitization, the Internet of Things, and social media. Most notably, the trend towards mobility as a service, in which means of transport can no longer be owned but booked as required, has emerged. In addition, the importance of the smartphone as a key innovation must also be emphasized, as it is indispensable for mobility as we know it today. Simplified access to information due to digitization, discounts on transport, and intermodal mobility solutions have finally led to the fact that we are currently experiencing the highest level of mobility known in the history of mankind, and this tendency is rising. Experts are estimating that by 2050 70% of the world population will live in cities, and 86% of the global GDP will be created by city workers. Urban mobility is one of the biggest challenges that cities are facing. The number of travel kilometers is likely to triple by 2050, and the time spent in traffic congestions by urban citizens could rise to averagely 106 hours per year. Given these challenges, let's see what kind of mobility solutions are currently implemented in today's cities. The urban mobility system in Amsterdam can be divided into 5 elements: public transportation, bicycles, shared mobility, traffic management, and alternative transportation. Amsterdam's public transportation network consists of a large network of trams, buses and metros. In order to simplify the use of the public transport system, there are apps for route planning and ticket purchases. In the field of green mobility, Amsterdam also relies on bicycles as a transportation method. To encourage the use of bicycles, a network of cycling paths of almost 800 kilometers, multiple free bicycle parking spaces and various bike rental stations have been created. One of the most important elements of Amsterdam's urban mobility concept is shared mobility combined with an extensive electrification program. Platforms, such as Car2Go, are widely used. Beside those classic shared mobility concepts, Via Van, a joint venture between Via and Mercedes, was launched in 2018. Via Van is an on-demand transit system. The user can select a pick-up and drop-off point by using an app. Then, an advanced algorithm assigns a vehicle based on the most efficient route. On the way, other users, taking a similar route, might get in or off the van. Amsterdam is investing in different IoT systems for the traffic management. They have implemented systems that can measure the current traffic conditions in real time and respond to the gathered information, for example, by adjusting traffic lights, to reduce the amount of traffic, to look for parking spaces, or to optimize the use of space. A parking app has been introduced. The app can also be used on the car's dashboard. Free parking spots are identified with the help of sensors located around the city and an AI algorithm. Another app and dashboard application shows free electric charging stations around the whole city area. In addition to the mentioned elements of Amsterdam's urban mobility, alternative mobility solutions have occurred in recent years. Given Amsterdam's enormous canal system, a unique solution concept is Robot, a fleet of self-driving boats. They can be used as a self-driving water taxi service, flexible pontoon bridges, and even as a delivery or waste collection service. While Amsterdam evolved from a traditional city to a smart city with various smart mobility options, a different approach to creating smart urban mobility has been taken in Songdo. South Korea was one of the first countries in the world to experiment with building a whole new smart city. In 2003, South Korea started one of the most ambitious urban projects of recent years. The goal of this project was to banish the problems created by modern urban life, such as air pollution, crowded sidewalks, congested roads, and many more. The solution to this problem was to reclaim 600 hectares of land along Incheon's waterfront, just 30 kilometers southwest of Seoul, and to create the smart city Songdo. An impression of how state-of-the-art Songdo can be gained through a deeper look at its urban mobility concept. Wireless communication is applied to traditional traffic components and combined with new forms, to increase the safety, convenience, efficiency, and sustainability for all users. The ultimate goal is to minimize the carbon footprint of urban mobility. The first key to urban mobility is the public transportation. It consists of a bus and metro system. Furthermore, it is connected to the Seoul Metropolitan Rapid Transit System and the National Railroad Network. This sector is complemented by 25 kilometers of inner-city bicycle lanes and a network of 145 kilometers of outer-city lanes. One further key sector, which reduces the number of vehicles within the city, is shared mobility. In Songdo it consists of car sharing, electric scooters, bicycles, and water taxis. These different types of mobility are further optimized through an algorithmic management of the city. The numerous IoT devices in combination with AI and modern technology are used to achieve this goal. An example is the scanning of car license plates with cameras that are built into the walls. The traffic information are used to analyze, optimize, and regulate traffic. This technology also improves sustainability by adjusting the street lights according to the demand. Along with these classic mobility concepts, a number of future technologies are being tested, as for example drones. They are not yet integrated into the mobility concept, but have a thriving environment, since Songdo is largely free from regulatory measures on flying drones. But how will urban mobility look like in the future? Over the last years, 4 disruptive technology-driven trends could be observed. Those will shape future urban mobility, and are now about to disrupt: electrification, connectivity, autonomous driving, and diverse mobility. An increasing consumer interest in time-saving features, the expansion of 5G, and the increased use of cloud capabilities and edge computing are the foundation for more connectivity in mobility. With more connectivity, new mobility services, such as e-hailing or shared mobility, are on the forefront. Consumers are increasingly moving away from individual car ownership to fit-for-purpose and intermodal mobility solution. People are choosing the best mobility option for each travel kilometer and circumstances. Due to stricter emission regulations, improvements in battery technology, increased consumer acceptance, as well as more widely available charging infrastructure, there soon will be more electric vehicles on the road, especially in urban areas. This will reduce smog and noise. Due to the drop in prices for sensors, as well as a large increase in the amount of computational capacity, the development of autonomous vehicles is likely to accelerate in the next few years. It can be expected that the first fully autonomous cars will be on the road by 2050. The diffusion of this technology will have a high disruption potential. Consumer behavior will change and new business models will rise. However, the diffusion of those technologies in the next 30 years will depend on overcoming a wide range of barriers and challenges, ranging from the need for further technological innovations to solving discourses on ethical issues and data security. The speed of adoption will be determined by the interaction of consumer pull and regulatory push factors, which might vary on the local, regional, national and international level. This implies that cities will not develop in parallel, but the transformation will vary across different city types. In rising megacities, which are largely middle-income cities, such as Mexico City or Shanghai, cars remain a status symbol, even though the urban infrastructure is not sufficient enough to cope with an increasing number of vehicles on the road. Pollution is high and traffic jams can last for hours. In contrast, public transportation systems are improving and many cities take actions to reduce the use of private cars. With more connectivity, new mobility services will rise, changing the way people get around those urban areas. Cities, like London, New York, or Tokyo, fall into the category of established megacities. Here, new ways to manage traffic are already adopted, and new mobility services are taking off. Those will likely lead to reduced individual car ownership, but possibly to limited changes in public transit usage. Now more convenient private transit options, such as e-hailing services or shared mobility solutions, will be favored. Car-dominated mature cities, like most larger US cities, are characterized by low population density and developing quality of public transit. They face a challenging situation as poorly developed public transit systems require individual car ownership to move around. Due to heavy traffic and rising environmental concerns, people may start to think about alternative mobility options. Connected driving offers a high disruptive potential, because it will make driving safer and traffic smoother. As e-hailing companies are already operating all over the US, and new mobility solutions, such as car sharing or on-demand services, are gaining popularity, private car ownership will likely decrease in those cities. The features of the public transit system of mature advanced cities are similar to the ones in established megacities. However, those city types differ in size. A good example for a mature advanced city would be Helsinki. Those cities are making effort to move citizens towards public transportation, biking, or walking, by investing into infrastructure, and by allowing new forms of urban mobility, like e-scooter sharing services. Those movements will reduce pollution and traffic, while safety and quality of life will be improved. This is how we think urban mobility will look like in the future, but let's see how it will evolve.